Hey, Merry Christmas from Live Equestrian. And as you look around and see, we had snow Christmas Day. And so I'm really excited that we got a little bit of snow, but also that it held off. Yesterday, last minute, we had to move some cattle, and so friends and neighbors and everybody pitched in, and we took our horses down there, although we were the only ones riding. Me and Alina were the only ones riding, but there were a bunch of people out there, neighbors, friends, anybody you could get a four-wheeler or a tractor, just anything, minivans, the whole works. And we had to take cattle right down through the middle of our town, and it was Christmas Eve. But you know what? It was great, great opportunity for the kids to get involved and for them to pitch in, helping move cattle. But you know, one of the things that I've been thinking about is with keeping livestock, and specifically horses in the winter, there's all kinds of challenges, whether it's keeping horses fed or watered, or you know, keeping weight on them, or keeping them warm when it's cold out. And so I'd love to hear, what is it that you do that is unique to your area to keep your horses in good shape? Share with us a little bit in the comments. What works for you in your area? What's a unique thing that you do? There's lots of different ways to manage horses. And in my background, I've managed herds as big as 100 horses and as small as just 2 or 3. One of the first choices you have to make in stable management is, do I want to run my horses in a herd, or do I want to have them in individual paddocks or stalls or some kind of pen? And the advantages to setting up with that scenario is you can really tailor a horse's individual feed the way that you want. But there's some disadvantages that go with that too. And because I run in a large herd environment where my horses are all together most of the time, there's some scenarios that I've set up to really help me do that in a way that meets each horse's specific needs. So that's what I want to share with you guys today. The basis for how we manage our horses is that we manage them in a herd environment, and they're segregated into 3 groups. And so on one hand, we have our horses that are easy keepers. They are generally more rotund. They naturally hold their weight. Genetics works in their favor for keeping them in good shape throughout the year. Our horses that are in our general herd that tend to be a little tougher keepers, or are just kind of general herd members, they are located on a hay field that was producing hay up until its final cutting. And after the final cutting, it was allowed to grow, but before a whole additional cutting could be taken, the horses were turned out there, and that is our winter pasture. So what you'll notice about all these horses is, regardless of the pasture that they're in, their weights are really consistent. And so I'm able to keep their weights consistent by managing which pasture they're in, whether they're in the easy keeper pasture or the hard keeper pasture, or whether they're back here at the facility. And so I can rotate these animals around and get them what they need and what they're showing me they need. And a big piece of this is being able to evaluate horses quickly and determine, do they need a little more, or are they a little on the heavy side, and what do we need to do to manage that? Well, if you're fortunate enough to be in a place where you got access to some kind of free-flowing stock water, that's always a plus. And so in all of my pastures, I have access to water gaps with either a creek or irrigation water or a stock pond of some kind, just like the one behind me here. Horses will not get enough of what they need water-wise just by eating snow. And so sometimes you have to break ice. And so make sure that if you are using this system, which is a great system, it's fresh water, it's clean, and it's on demand, and it'll stay thawed, clear down well below freezing. Make sure you're checking this out and they're getting what they need. So as we're talking about cold weather stuff, I want to talk about Nelson waters. Now, there are other products that are similar to this. I just happen to have a Nelson. I'm not endorsed by them or don't advertise that for them or anything, but I do want to show you their water. We're well below freezing right now, and as you can see, their water is working as it's supposed to. It is got thawed water in it. Now, I will say on this particular waterer, it won't go down a whole lot below freezing. The way this one works is it uses a kind of a sump that acts as a heat well, and so geothermal heat is supposed to come up from the ground and kind of keep the inside of the bowl warm enough to keep water thawed. And that works pretty okay in theory, but when you get real cold, it's not going to do a whole lot for you. And I over-engineered this particular one on the install a little bit of large diameter, I forget what it was, 8 or 9 inch PVC, and I sunk that sucker clear down as far as I could get it with, well, not quite as far as I could get it with the backhoe, but I sunk it pretty deep. And then laid foam down and then poured concrete over the foam, and then the water went on top of the concrete, and then the entire inside of the cylinder of the water had a layer of foam on it, but I actually added my own insulation, and that's what it took to keep this thing so that it could be electricity free and stay thawed down below freezing. They do have a heating element in there that you can add electricity to, and it's an add-on to this particular waterer. One of the things I love about this water is it's really easy to change the bowl. So there's lots of goodies and crud in there. And so all I got to do is push this little lever down here, and then I can rotate the top of this. And just as easy as can be, the top comes off. You can just take this out. And you can see I spray foamed the whole inside of that thing pretty well. So that was all done after I had used it for a few seasons and decided I needed more insulation. But there we can empty most of the crud out, and of course I need to scrub that with a brush a little bit. But now the water will fill back up, and so it's a pretty good little system. I'll put this back on here and come out and clean it when I got a wire brush. Pretty good little system, not a perfect system. I think there's better waterers out there. Some of the best I've ever seen are the kind that have what amounts to a basketball, and I forget the brand of those particular kind, but they come up and fill a hole in a horse, or a cow has to come and push down on that ball to activate, to get a drink for one, but also to activate the fill feature. So I've also built a lot of automatic waterers that run without electricity or limited electricity, and run clear down as far down as 70 below. So if you live in extreme cold and you'd like to visit a little bit on how to set up an automatic watering system that'll go to those extreme temperatures, get in touch with me. I'd love to give you some tips and hints on how we do that. And a really important piece of management that I feel gets overlooked oftentimes is movement. Movement is so incredibly important for horses, from a hoof care perspective, from a nutritional and digestive perspective, from an emotional well-being perspective. Horses have to have movement in their lives. I wanted to just give you a little glimpse into how we keep our horses here, and maybe if anything good comes of this, you'll have some different ideas on how to maybe take care of some horses in some cold climates. All right, well, hey, I hope you guys had a good Christmas, and looking forward to 2020. Lots of great things coming here at Live Equestrian. We got some exciting things to unveil, and we'll be sharing those with you a little bit down the road here. But for now, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll catch you down the trail.